Is it even worth buying physical gold and silver anymore? Certainly in today's economy, because like it or not, the mainstream really don't like gold and silver. You ask any independent financial advisor or a chartered accountant or an investment advisor, and they'll tell you that gold and silver are not really very good assets at all to own. Now, even Dave Ramsey, the famous investor and investment advisor, will say it's garbage. Don't buy this stuff. Now look, if you're watching one of my videos, there's a good chance you're in camp yes for the world of gold and silver. And I would argue I'm firmly in that camp as well. But there are considerations that are needing to be taken into advisement if you are looking to get either more gold and silver, if you already have some, or into gold and silver in the first place. Because whilst we all love this stuff, and look, I love gold and silver, I've got gold and silver, I think it is a good investment, but with caveats. And we have to have a think about those. We can't just sit here and watch echo chamber after echo chamber of content creator and bullion dealers and politicians sponsored by bullion dealers telling you that the world is going to collapse and that gold and silver are the answer to all your problems, because they aren't necessarily the answer to those problems. Hello everyone, I'm Backyard Bullion. If you're watching the video for the first time, welcome. I have contrarian views on the world of gold and silver. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your backside telling you that it is the best thing in the world, because there are issues with investing in gold and silver, and we're going to talk about some of those today. And I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comment section. So hit up the comment section, let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to hit the like button if you're enjoying our content. And if you are new, subscribe. So, gold and silver, are they really not very good investments at all? The likes of Dave Ramsey, I've been consuming a bit of his media recently, lots of YouTube shorts and the like, and I have seen in the past that he's been very negative on gold and silver. And I think with good reason, quite frankly, because he's not wrong that gold and silver don't really do anything over the lifespan. They don't pay you dividends. They don't give you a yield. They just sit there and the capital potentially grows. And yes, there has been some really significant volatility in markets lately, and you can potentially capitalize and make a quick buck. But traditionally, that is not what gold and silver have been about. Come on, camera, you can do it. Focus on that bar. There we go. So these two bars, for example, are bars that I've owned for nearly, well, over 10 years now, actually. I bought these before I even started making YouTube videos, and they've just sat in my secure storage, not yielding, not doing anything. The money that I've got locked up in these bars is just that, locked up. It's sort of a rainy day fund, and that is a good thing, and we'll touch on the positive sides of investing and stacking gold and silver and the financial freedoms that it teaches you. But ultimately, the money that we've got here, we've got nearly 16 ounces worth of silver in these two bars. I can't remember the exact price off the top of my head. I'd have to go and have a look through my records to find the exact purchase price of these. But I think it was about £15 an ounce. So 15 times 16, so that's what, maths top of head, 15 times 16, about 250 quid, 240, something like that I've had locked up for this time. Now here's the thing, of course silver has gone up in price, and now that 16 ounces is worth considerably more. You know, we're looking at, 16 times, I don't know, let's call it 45 at spot price, £720, it's tripled. It's tripled in the time that I've owned them. But I would argue that there are other investments that have tripled. I've had other stocks and share investments that have gone more than that. If you'd invested in the stocks and shares markets of S&P 500 or the FTSE 100, you'd probably be about the same, if not a little bit higher in your growth. Depending on what kind of stock you bought, you could have had way more investment growth. It's about risk, of course. Risk is an important thing to factor in. Whilst we're talking about risk, I will say as well, it's really important to test your gold and silver, which is a perfect little segue in today's sponsor, Trusty Metrics. We are very proudly sponsored by Trusty Metrics, who are the UK's exclusive supplier of the Sigma precious metal testing machines. They are fantastic bits of kit, worth their weight in gold, in my opinion. They've helped me grow my business and my stack and have that peace of mind that all the gold and silver that I own and that I buy is indeed real gold and silver, something that if you're a business is imperative, but if you're a stacker, that peace of mind, as I said, is worth its weight in gold. Now, Trusty Metrics are a fantastic organization, a small family-run business that provides customer service second to none. And I have first-hand experience of getting their technical help and expertise when I've been trying to test big chunky bars of silver like this, or just getting to grips with how the machines run. They are always there I mean, they've been fantastic for me, even on weekends, to get prompt answers for just simple queries. They are a non-pushy organization, and they have and continue to work with businesses and investors to make sure that the machines that they get are right for them. So if you're interested, you can go and see their website with the full range of machines that they have on offer. And if you're interested, reach out to them and tell them that Backyard Bullion sent you their way. Thank you once again to Trusty Metric for sponsoring our channel. And now back on with our precious metal ramble. So, of course, risk management is a really important thing for any investment portfolio. And one of the reasons why silver is often derided as a pretty bad investment, and gold for that matter, in fact, more so with gold than silver, is that risk that it puts on you as an individual. So there is a myth, though, that so a lot of people who don't own gold and silver think that owning gold and silver is immediately going to paint a big target on your back and you're immediately going to get robbed by the first person that comes to visit your house. It sort of depends how you store your gold and silver. If you just have it all out on the mantelpiece and a tradesman comes in, maybe they might swipe a piece or two. But generally speaking, it's pretty safe to own gold and silver. But you do have considerations that you need to take into consideration. You do need to, of course, make sure that you have safety and security in your house. So if you are at the sticks, you might want to invest in some CCTV or a security system. If you're going to store it in the house, perhaps you're going to have a safe. If you're going to buy a safe, what kind of safe are you going to have? Is it going to be a cheap safe that can be opened by the lock-picking lawyer within a few minutes? Or is it going to be a pretty heavy-duty safe? If you are on a small budget, stacking small amounts every month, maybe you don't need a safe. But if you're on a medium budget, over a year, every month, that adds up, especially if you're doing it regularly. And suddenly you might need more storage than you currently have. So all these things take into consideration that will affect your return on the investment. Of course, if you're investing in a stock or a share, there are risks there as well. But generally speaking, you're not going to get burgled and have your shares stolen from you. Yes, there could be issues on stock exchanges and things like that, but it's an incredibly uncommon thing to happen. Gold and silver do carry that risk. And IFAs and the Dave Ramseys of the world, they're not wrong about that at all. So, in my opinion, you have to consider all of these other things before you even get into gold and silver. So if you are watching this and you're brand new and you don't know anything about the world of gold and silver, think about the risks that you want to impose upon yourself, upon your family, upon the assets that you're going to have in your possession. Then if you're comfortable with those assets in your possession, have a think about what the return is. What's the goal? Because the goal can change and be different for other people. Let's have a close look at this Venti Pesos. It's absolutely stunning. So basically, for me, the goal is about wealth preservation and also beating the inflation, beating the currency that we use. We all know, if we're watching videos like mine, we're all aware that the price of goods out there is inflating very quickly. We can hear the Bank of England and the Fed talking about, inflation rates of like 2-3% and feel happy about that. But remember, that's 2-3% every year, and that's compounding as well. If we're looking at percentage terms now are a lot more dangerous than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago. And that's why it's an inflationary curve that is going to continue to go up over time and make our money worth less over time. And that's what really bothers me. And that's why I think that compounding hedge for gold and silver is going to be a really good thing for my personal finances into the future. Now, look, this is not an investment advice video. I'm certainly not a chartered independent financial advisor. And I would say if you are concerned about the future of your finances, that it is worth talking to an IFA, but be prepared that they're probably not going to like the fact that you might have gold or silver. And big banks don't like it either. Be very prepared for that. If you're investing in gold and silver because you think that it's going to be a great way to save money, make a bit of money as well. Look, we haven't even touched on the idea of premiums, making money on gold and silver, because it is possible to do. But let me tell you from first-hand experience, I say first-hand, it's actually second-hand experience, because we're different because I run a business, so I have business bookkeeping when it comes to things like managing mortgages and debts and things like that. But if you're a general stacker investor and you've got gold and silver, the banks actually see that as a liability rather than a benefit for you in terms of like mortgage applications. Again, look, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a mortgage broker in any way. I only know what I know based on secondhand experience, but I've had people who have sold gold and silver through us, and they've to basically fund deposits on houses, and then they've come up against significant issues with their banks, because ultimately the banks look at your incomings and outgoings and they see that you've spent 10 grand on silver and gold, and they don't necessarily factor in that that's an investment. They see that as a liability. They see that as somebody who's got money that they're burning away in a not safe way, in a non-traditional way. And that's, I suppose, part of the problem. It's a non-traditional way of doing it, isn't it, that these institutions don't like. And look, there are a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that think it's because they're trying to control us and the banks don't want us having the financial freedom of silver and gold. And I'm not in that camp fully, but I've got one foot in that camp, that I do think there is this, that, people, the banks, of course, they want the money to stay in the banks. They don't want the money to be taken out of the banks. By taking the money out of the banks, ultimately we are sort of hurting their system, because they have less cash in that system to play with. If we're investing in a traditional way through bank accounts, which it's okay to have cash in accounts doing, interest in cash, but be aware that if you're earning a 4%, on an interest account, and inflation's at 3%, and you're having to pay tax on that income as well, you're losing every year. Your money's just dying every year. I've got extended family members who don't get it, and they have money in accounts that are earning less than even the optimum rates, because people think, it's just a faff to open a new bank account and change the money around, move it around, and so they just settle for like 2.5%, 3% or whatever it is with their bank, and that's just it. Like, you're losing money every year, and then it compounds because you can't get on the housing ladders, and so that works in the bank's favors, because they get your money for free to invest and to make money off. They make money off your deposits. And as people always constantly remind me, if you put money in the bank, it's not your money anymore. It's technically the bank's money. You can just get access to it when you need it. So from my perspective, financial freedom is super important. And this is where we're kind of finish up with the video here. So the benefits of gold and silver might not necessarily be tangible in terms of, are they going to become the next big stock that will go to the moon? Are they going to become the next Nvidia that's going to, go up by 1,000% in 10 years? No, of course they're not, because that would be just stupid. That would be ridiculous. The world would basically just fall apart if gold and silver went there, because that would mean, of course, what do we know? Say it with me. Because fiat currencies have collapsed. That's the only way that gold and silver go up. And that's one of the reasons I was very concerned about the world at the beginning of this year, when gold hit like $5,500 an ounce, and silver hitting over $120 an ounce. Scary stuff, right? Yeah, that got me really worried. And, did I fall down the FOMO train buying a little bit more gold during those times? Yeah, a little bit. I was buying some gold. I bought some gold on the day of the peak at the World Money Fair. £900 a sovereign, I think I paid, and they're worth 740 quid now. So, it's harsh, it's hard. And that lies the lesson that there is risks involved with this stuff, that you can't take it for granted. But when we come back to this idea of financial freedom, about taking your money into your own responsibility, looking after it, looking to the future, what is your money going to actually give you in the future? How are you going to get there in the future? That's where you get the most benefit from this. And it has to be part of a balanced portfolio. We can sit here and we can watch echo chamber after echo chamber of people sitting in their basements, jumping up and down on their chairs with fire in their thumbnails, saying that the world is going to collapse and you have to own this stuff. Oh, by the way, buy it with my affiliate code down in the description box below, because I get a kickback. And let me tell you that content creators will be happy to do that for the clicks, for the sponsorships, for the money that they'll get in affiliate bonus codes and referrals. It will come aplenty. And I've been doing it for 10 years. I can tell you that it is very lucrative to be a YouTube channel with a large following, with lots of views and sponsors, and it's fantastic and it's great. But I've never deviated from my message of being contrarian, of saying that things aren't always as rosy as you might hear in the world of YouTube. And it is very important to make sure that you are making an informed decision that's right for you, not because your favorite content creator or your favorite politician that's sponsored by a bullion dealer tells you to do so. And if you are then looking to make those financial decisions about purchasing, make sure you're doing it in a sensible and safe way. Don't just take the word of your favorite content creator that X, Y, and Z is the cheapest bullion dealer out there, because that's not necessarily going to be true. Prices fluctuate on a daily basis. Dealers will match and beat other prices on a daily basis. Shop around. Make sure you are finding the right ones for you. And the same comes at the other end of the life cycle if you are needing to sell your gold and silver. Make sure that you're shopping around to the right places, because The companies that you may have been buying from will be very quick to take your money, but maybe not so quick to give you the money back when you come to sell, or at least when they do give the money back, it's not going to be anywhere near what you've paid for it. And that also depends on the types of coins you're buying, because there are a lot of issues out there in the world of gold and silver in today's economy. I've talked about that because the world of gold and silver has changed very much since I started, hugely. And part of that is a larger, wider appreciation of gold and silver within the general population. Certainly here in the UK, it's grown a lot, and there are a lot more bullion. I say bullion dealers. We put the word dealers in inverted commas because there are a lot of people who've jumped on a train, jumped on a hype, jumped on a fad, jumped onto live selling platforms and set up their own, businesses, and ultimately they are. What's the right phrase? I'm not going to say they are ripping people off, but they're taking advantage of hype. They're taking advantage of hysteria. They're taking advantage of vulnerabilities within communities to really profit, basically. Now, look, it's dog eat dog out there, and I'm a traditionalist. And am I potentially wrong in saying things that, at some point in the future, maybe these 1/2000th of an ounce gold bars or gold wafers that have got £3 worth of gold in them that are sold at £10 are going to be worth buying? Probably. I mean, that's the way the world's going, isn't it, with fractional denominations of everything? But as an investment, no, they're not. The only people who are benefiting are the people who are selling you the hype. And look, I could sit here and tell you a list of companies that I don't like, but that's not for me to say. There are going to be companies and organizations out there that are not so good. One thing I never really get is, why would you ever buy investment grade coins and bullion live at auction? Like, just buy them if you want them. Like, don't go in and hype and hear the hype and anyway. But it really annoys me. It really, really annoys me. And there's a reason why I don't sell live. I sell products. Again, I've done it. I got these bars out to tell you that we have very limited numbers of our 1 ounce bars for 2026, our Backyard Bullion channel bars. I haven't mentioned them until the 18th minute of a video. So we do have these. We sell them. We sell them at a fixed price. They are a premium product. I don't make any bones about that they are a premium product because they cost a lot of money to manufacture. And the silver that's in these bars was bought at a high price. And I'm not going to work for free because I think these bars are nice. They're lovely. I love these bars. And they are what they are. If you want to buy them, then please drop me an email and get in touch. But at the moment, honesty sells more and integrity sells more than hype. I could sit here and tell you that silver is going to be the best tier 1 asset that you can ever own in the entire world, and you should buy my bars because my bars are going to be the most sought after and most amazing bars that you'll ever own in your entire life. But that would feel wrong. It really would, because ultimately they are a premium product, and if you take my bar that you buy from a premium and you stake it to a bullion dealer, you'll lose money. That's just the way it is, and I make no bones about that, and I've said it for 10 years that will happen. But if you want to support our channel, if you want to invest in something that's fun, that's collectible, that's different, that's unique, that's handmade by me, then please, that would be wonderful. But I don't need it. I don't need to sit here and hype about it. Like a lot of other content creators, like a lot of other bullion dealers, like some politicians who take £22,000 an hour to talk about gold and silver. Pretty crazy. In fact, hilarious thing for you cool kids. If you haven't been on the Silver Forum, there's a very, very interesting thread set up by Lawrence Chard, actually, talking about Nigel Farage's and his payments. And somebody at I think it was the Times newspaper, did like a rundown of all the content that is live on various different social media platforms that Nigel Farage has helped create. And across their entire portfolio of videos, there's like maybe 1,000 views, maybe like 80 or so engagements and likes. And I'm just sitting here going, well, hang on, I get like 10,000 views on a video every week. And maybe I should ask for £22,000 an hour from some bullion dealers. I'm sure Lawrence Chard would love it if I went to him and say, hey, Lawrence, give me £22,000 for an hour's worth of work. Maybe he'd even throw in some free postage. Maybe, well, that would be worth more than £22,000. Lawrence, if you're watching to the end of the video, I know you do sometimes, maybe we should have a talk about that free postage thing. But I check. Anyway, okay, that's it from me, I think. We're done. Thank you all for watching. See you on the next video. As always, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.